Guys, good morning. Just wanted to come and share some words of wisdom. When my son came in for the holidays, we had a conversation, and when he was young, I say he was about 12, going on 13, we took our last mission trip, and we went to Canada, and we went there to help with ministry. And we had assured him that these people were different, that everything was good, and we believe that in our hearts as well. And it did not turn out that way. The whole issue started with our kids was in 1999. We moved to a campground, a Pentecostal campground, and it was supposed to be missionary training, but that's not exactly how it turned out. And I'm not going to say that God didn't send us there, because He did. He sent us there to teach us things. But during that time, we got captured because everybody there had to work, husband and wife. You worked every day, all day long, and you were required to be in every service. So you were in services constantly, and your kids were like running around on the campground. Well, we actually thought that we had done better than most of the parents there, because some of the parents would go off on ministry trips, and their kids would end up staying at my house, or they would stay at their own house, and I would go and pick them up, take them to school, whatever. At the campground that we lived on, they served 2 meals a day, so the kids would get breakfast, and they would get like a lunch dinner type thing. Well, anyways, like I said, we worked a lot, and we did ministry a lot, and some of these parents would leave their kids and they'd stay at my house, and I wouldn't even know where their parents were. I wouldn't even have a phone number to where they were if something happened to one of their kids. I'm sure maybe somebody in the office had information, but that's just how it went. And sometimes there was a little boy who my son played with all the time, and one time we pulled on the campground after being out going to the store and stuff, and it was getting dusty dark outside, and I saw him walking around by himself, and I asked him, I said, "Where's your mom and daddy?" And he said, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, you come down to our house." So that became a thing. He stayed with us a lot, him and another young boy. They were all about my son's age. Well, that one was a little younger, and the other one was just maybe a year or so older. But they hung out with us. So my husband and I, we thought that we did great, but we didn't. We sacrificed our kids for the ministry, and we didn't even realize that we were doing that. And I want to say that it really had to do a lot with needing and wanting acceptance, because you're taught kind of like the pastor and his wife are kind of like your mother and father figure, and neither one of us grew up with our parents. We had grandparents, and then both of us lost our grandfather, and grandmothers had finished raising us. So, we had this thing in us. But we were also taught that this was an acceptable thing. It was what you were supposed to do. And no, I'm going to tell you, no, it's not. The order of how things should be is this. You should have a personal relationship with the Father. And I'm talking personal. I'm talking about He should be your best friend. You should be able to talk to God every single day, and He'll talk back to you, and He will. Then, if you're married, your spouse comes next. Then your children come next. And if there's anything left to give over, then yes. You should not sacrifice your children unless, you're going on a mission trip together, or you are going on the mission field together, but you have to have balance. Your family, if you gain the whole world and lose your family, then what good have you done? A lot of those families that lived on that campground with us got divorced, and their kids not walking with God.
Broken.
Our kids, we only have one that has come back to God. The rest of them still don't want anything to do with God because they don't understand and differentiate that it's not God that did all these things. It's humans and the things that they're taught, and how the church will capture, God. We did a teaching, if you go back and you look at it, God has always tried from the very beginning to have a relationship with man, to the point that He walked with Adam and Eve in the cool of the garden every single day and talked to them. And that's what we were supposed to do. And then, of course, sin, and then God always kept trying to talk to His children, but they didn't want to talk to Him. They wanted Moses to talk to God. They wanted anybody but God talking to them. They rejected Him. So then, they wanted a king, and they got the king. And the king required from them. And it talks about it in the Old Testament. Everything that king would require. And that is the same thing that a pastor does to you. A ministry does to you. Now, I'm not saying that all pastors are bad, because they're not. But I haven't seen very many that actually were doing what they were called to do, which is help the sheep grow up into Christ and release them. Nobody's supposed to be captured for somebody else's kingdom, because we all are called to do the work of God. But my whole thing to you today is to let you know that you have to have balance in your life. If you are married and you have a family, you have to have balance. Your children need not to be put on the outside and not taken care of, and felt like they weren't important, that you didn't love them, that you loved everything else, God, the ministry, and whatever. See, we black God's eye in our children's eyes. And none of that was what God wanted. None of it. It was all man-made. So, I hope you can listen. Any young families out there, Get balance in your life. Get balance in your family. Put God first, your wife, your children, and then minister. Minister. But have balance. God bless you guys and have a great day. Bye-bye.